the reference manual, starting with the rookies. We have come a long way going from, well, Agumon now to Solarmon. Seen some interesting designs, a lot of repeats, especially recolors, but you know, that's how it is. As always, that's my phone. As always, with the rules on these, when I look at Digimon, I have to say what I like about the design, what I dislike about the design. I have to be specific. I can't just be vague and be like, well, I don't like this design, or I don't like that. I don't like it because it doesn't feel that, or I like it because it feels that. I have to give an explanation. I also have to read the description because that sometimes helps with understanding the Digimon. As for other little things, hopefully we will get through the remainder of the reference manual, as we do have not much. I'm hoping this will be the last of the rookies, but things can change. One other thing, once I'm done going over the rookie, I give myself about a 20-second rest, both to save my throat and to give you guys some time to dwell on the design. A lot of this is a back and forth, and I do like hearing you guys' input on these things. So, just to do a quick little double check to make sure everything is good. No viewers? Well. And in any case, also happy April Fool's Day, but this is not a joke. As we begin, as we can see, the reference manual has gone through some changes. Some slight updates. Bit interesting, makes this look more approachable, I suppose. And with that, I suggest we get into our first Digimon of the day. Solarmon. Rare species and mechanical machine Digimon. Some researchers believe Solarmon to be a mutation of Aguramon, but the truth of the matter remains a mystery. Because its Digicore generates heat, its body is hot enough to cause burns. Solarmon uses its special move, Shiny Ring, to throw heat-emitting gears that scorch the enemy. So, we yet again have a recolor of a Digimon, in this case Aguramon. They took the design and made it look like a sun, which, okay, Solarmon, that's okay. I don't have too much problem with that. I do like that they took the generic gear and, through colors, made it look like a sun, especially with the little extra suns. But, again, it's a recolor, and generally recolors I'm not a big fan of because they just kind of feel just there. Thinking about a Digimon named Solarmon, I kind of would have expected more of like fire, like actual fire, or the being made out of fire. Because as is, this just looks like a Aguramon that's boiling hot. It's not a bad idea, you know, a heated up Aguramon. But again, this is a recolor. And I'm traditionally not a fan of recolors. Going off of the original design, which we can see here. Yeah. So I like the general aesthetic because it does look like a sun, but I don't like it because it's basically a recolor. What I would have changed with this is actually, I wouldn't have used Aguramon as a base. I would have made this look like a fire. You can keep the Aguramon design element of the center gear with the smaller gears, but make it like a fire orb and two fire orbs to represent the hands. Because as is, this is just Aguramon that is orange. So, 20 seconds. And that is that. We're going to go back. We're going to see how this website works. Okay. Let's see how that works. I was worried it would have me go all the way back, but it's not too bad. We are going to Soundbirdmon, and as we can see, it's a Cross Wars Digimon. Okay, now that's interesting. A bird Digimon with speakers built into its wings, always alert for danger. Soundbirdmon is normally very quiet, but if it's ever approached by a Digimon it finds suspicious, it will shriek loudly to drive the intruder away. Its special moves include Giga Scream, where it cries out at full volume to blast foes with a shockwave, and Sound Finish, by which it paralyzes foes using ultrasonic waves. Soundbirdmon was a winning submission in the original Digimon contest for Digimon Fusion. Now that's interesting. So we have a Bat Digimon that looks like I'll just go back to what I remember from music. A cleft note, I believe. Let me do a quick check on that. No, it's not a clef note. It's been a while since I have played music in any form, so I do recognize it looking like a musical note, but I don't remember the specifics. I think as a body, that is an interesting concept. Just as a bat, as you have this, little orb with a crest coming out of it and making it look like a note. The wings are okay. You need a bat-like design, and you have speakers in the wings. I like the concept, and whoever won this contest submission, bravo. That is a very creative design. Things that I don't like. Things I don't like about the design. I think maybe make the main body have a better idea of a mouth, because it just kind of looks like an eyeball. I think maybe adding some kind of fangs or other note motifs would work. Maybe even make the wings like a musical sheet or a musical line of music. But as is, it's a very good design. Like I said, big changes would be the eye and the wings. Things I don't like. I think the speakers in the wings are a bit excessive. I probably would have placed a speaker on the bottom to represent legs. But overall, it's a very good design, and I will give this the perfect. It's a very creative design, and it fits the bat aesthetic. And we really need more bat Digimon. We really need more insect and aquatic Digimon, but, we'll take what we can get. So as I said, what I like the music inspiration. I kind of would have changed that the wings were more music sheets or music lines. And I would probably put speakers on the bottom and change the face. Something so it looks more bat-like. But other than that, it's good. So, 20 seconds. And I just realized it says type of bird. I would say it's more like a bat. And remember, if you want to chime in, you can. I do like hearing what you guys like to hear and your suggestions on these designs. I always like hearing what you guys have to say. So we have Spademon. A weapon Digimon that can transform its body into a weapon, and one of the fabled legend arms, said to be capable of either saving the world in the hands of an angel or destroying it in the hands of a devil. Despite Spademon's serious and hardworking personality, it can also succumb to pressure from time to time. Its combat strength is low, but it shows its true worth in weapon mode. We don't have any examples of weapon mode here. That's okay. Uh, design elements. It looks like a yeti with a sword. Very. It reminds me of like a very ice design. Like I said, a yeti. Although I think what they're trying to go for is a lion, especially since Kimba the White Lion. But I don't know. It might just be the white fur that I'm thinking yeti, but I think they're going more for a lion. Very basic, very simple design, all things considering. It's a furry creature in armor. The blade is a unique concept of a sword. Most of the time, it's either a katana or just your generic pointed blade. Armor, I've got nothing to say about it. It's, stylized knight armor. Things I like about the design, I think I just like how, not necessarily how simplistic it is, but how easy it is to read. It looks like a main character from a game, like Blade Dancer Musashi. Like, this could have been a rival in that. But, so I like the overall feel of it. Things I don't like, I don't know how this goes into blade form. I don't know if this is supposed to become like a bigger sword or what. At least with the other frame arm Digimon, Ludamon, you could see it become a shield. This, I don't know. I guess my other thing is this feels more like a Final Fantasy character rather than a Digimon, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Things I would probably change. Falchion, that's what it is. The sword reminds me of a falchion. Things I would change. I would probably add in some sort of crack element in the armor to represent that he's been used in a lot of combat, because the armor looks very new, and I kind of feel like, given that he's going to be swung around as a sword, you need some wear and tear in the design. I also think it would help to make this read either as ice or as something else, because as is, this feels more like, again, I don't know if this is supposed to be a yeti or Kimba the White Lion. So things I like the overall feel and just kind of how easy it is to read. Things I don't like, it feels too much like a Final Fantasy character rather than a Digimon, but I can see where they're going. And things I would change is probably add some wear and tear. So 20 seconds. All right. We come to Sparrowmon Cross Wars. Digimon specialized in dogfights, soaring soundlessly through the skies at high speed. Speed is not Sparrowmon's only weapon, however. Its tight turning radius offers the maneuverability necessary to execute stunning turns without effort. Fundamentally moody and excitable, its flight style changes based on its mood. One can easily tell its mood or condition by watching it in flight. When Sparrowmon prefers difficult aerial acrobatics without being asked, this is undeniable proof of its high spirits. The numerous feats it performs too quickly to be seen fully capitalize on this maneuverability. Wing edge is only possible due to this advanced flight technique. Sparrowmon cuts enemies with its wings as it passes by, with constant changing trajectories at high speed. The twin pistols in its hands are named Zanahoria, siblings to Beelzemon's gun Baranjana, and made by the same gunsmith. Okay, I didn't realize that. So, that's an interesting design element. I wasn't aware that Sparrowmon's guns are the siblings to Beelzemon's guns. That is an interesting concept. That's interesting. Um, I'll get to some things about the design element that I'd like to get into. I like the jet aesthetic. You took it. It reminds me of Latios and Latias from Pokemon. But whereas Latios and Latias are more of this is a bird, an animal that looks like a jet, this is more of we took a jet and made it into an animal. And I kind of like that aesthetic. It's an interesting way to go at things. I will say the yellow is a bit much. I kind of would have gone with a more muted color. Maybe not yellow, although not gray either. That being said, they may have been limited on colors due to Latios and Latias because someone at the design who designed this may have not wanted to make that connection. So that's understandable. But yellow, I wouldn't have gone with that. As for the guns, so this is reading about its description. I'm going to say that if you're going to make a connection to Beelzemon, actually add something onto the design. I'm not saying make this Beelzemon the jet, but if you're going to bring up that the guns are the siblings to Beelzemon's guns, I would say add some element into the design of the Digimon altogether. As is, I think these guns are supposed to look like the guns that Ao and Mako gave. I think it was Mako gave Impmon in Tamers. I think that's the design aesthetic they're going for. But as is, like if you're going to make this a connection to Beelzemon, maybe add a symbol, or maybe make part of the Digimon dark colored. You know, make it look like. So the Russians had a test jet, I think it was called the Su-22 Fitter. It was a forward swept wing jet. Usually pictures of it are shown as it's black with red stars. I would almost say go with that aesthetic with the design. You know, don't make this yellow, make this black to make that connection to Beelzemon, but also the whole futuristic jet fighter design. As is, I like the design. I do feel it may be a bit much on some areas. Things I like is I like the concept. I like the jet aesthetic. I don't like that. Thinking on it, I don't like the yellow, and I would omit the yellow. And I would change it by adding some elements of Beelzemon in the design. So, yeah, 20 seconds. And yeah, that we're moving forward. One last thing I'll say about Sparrowmon, I'm aware of the design they did of Sparrowmon if they were human. I guess it's not the best of the bunch, but I suppose it could work. Starmons. We got another Cross Wars. Oh, that's a lot of words. Starmons is a unit comprised of a Starmon flanked by several Pikmon. The entire squad moves on the beat of the leader Starmon's drums. The leader's decisions are absolute, and the subordinate Pikmon move with perfect coordination in accordance with Starmon's commands. This harsh pecking order allows it to use group attacks like Meteor Shower and Wish Upon a Star, both of which require complex movements. Starmon has a cheerful and attention-seeking personality, and is an extraordinary optimist to boot. It never gets depressed, and even in its rare moments of discouragement are filled with thoughts of how cool it looks when it's down. Other Digimon view Starmon as silly because of this trait, but it doesn't mind it at the least. So, we got another Cross Wars Digimon. We're going to omit the Pikmon, because Pikmon, but I'm reminded of that one Pokemon that's basically a reference to a Roman phalanx. I know this predates that by years. Um, it's a star with glasses and with a legion of Pikmon. Um, Not the most creative design, I'm going to say. If anything, it feels more like... I think if you were going to make this Digimon work, I would say give Starmon... Either make Starmon their own thing, or implement the Pikmon in a way that connect to Starmon. Like, maybe make limbs that of the Pikmon as... Make Starmon's limbs of the Pikmon. I'm okay with the idea of taking numerous Digimon to make one Digimon, but in this case, I think you need to add a little more to Starmon to make it that this is Starmon and not just a star with glasses. Yeah, things I like. I like the idea of a multi-part Digimon, but I don't think this really represents that. And I would change it by having the Pikmon be the limbs of Starmon. Or at the very least, make the Starmon in the center something like their own thing. So, yeah, 20 seconds. And with that, we're moving on to the next design. Tsunerizaman. Tsunerizaman is a reptile Digimon mainly found in desert areas that lives in groups and relies on camouflage. By regulating the volume of the sand that comprises its body, it's able to expand, contract, or transform its limbs and tail. This makes it nearly impossible to discern once it's blended into its desert environment. And it's not unheard of for what might look like a patch of quicksand turn out to be a group of Tsunerizaman. Tsunerizaman can also defend itself from predators with its special moves. These include Grit Nail, by which it transforms the end of its forelegs into claws to scratch at foes, and Sandblast, where it grinds down an enemy's body by spitting out a stream of sand. So we have a horny devil lizard, made out of sand. Certainly a creative design. Funny enough, earlier I was looking up there's a Looney Tunes character called Michigan J. Frog. Now, it may seem weird to connect it with a Digimon, but what I didn't realize was apparently Michigan J. Frog, the whole story was based off of a horny toad lizard, or horny devil lizard, that was placed into a suspended animation and was kept like that for years before it reanimated. Which is interesting. Now, I doubt that's what they're going for. I think they're just going for your basic horny lizard, which is okay. I like that concept. It's a very easy concept to work with. And they actually fit it well with the sand. Happy April Fool's Day. Happy April Fool's Day, Renamon565. It's good to see ya. We're just going over Tsunerizaman and its connection to Michigan J. Frog from Looney Tunes. Long story short, it's that character, the singing frog, is based off of a story of a lizard that was kept in suspended animation, which I didn't realize. It was in Texas. When that lizard made national news, it actually caused the lizard population to, that specific lizard, to actually decline in Texas, and Texas actually had to stop sales of that lizard. And as much as I would want to add that element to the design, I'm not going to, because that's a very weird reference to make. Things I like it looks like a lizard. I like that it looks like a horny devil lizard. A spiny devil lizard. I forgot the name of it. Uh, they worked in the rocks to make the armor and the scales. The sand feels both like sand and skin. It's a very neat design quirk of it. Um, Things I don't like. I think I would. I think I don't like that it looks like it's just falling apart as sand. I think I would rather make it that. I actually no, I don't like the legs. I think for the feet, I would make these actually claws from the rocks. As is the. This is a very weird. Like, oh, this is the sand claws. I think I would prefer if these were actually rocks. Things I would change. Um, for starters, I am not saying put a top hat to make a reference to Michigan J. Frog because that's a very weird reference. Um, but I think what I would do is probably add a pattern to the skin. Something like a combination of rock and sand to make it look like a lizard. Maybe even add part of this head carapace be on the back as well. The spikes are okay, but I would say add something to make it look more like a lizard and less like a sand golem. So, things I like. I like that it looks like a lizard and has spikes. Don't like the feet, and I would probably change it to add more of a carapace shell. So, 20 seconds. All right. We're going to Swimmon. A tropical fish Digimon with a brightly colored body. Swimmon form groups that live in the warm water of coral reefs along the equator. This Digimon can use its large fins to fly across the surface of the water for short intervals. An elegant group of Swimmon skipping over the sea is counted among the 3 most scenic views of the digital world. The scales covering its body have a trait that adapts their color to its surroundings. When gigantic marine Digimon attack, it can use this as camouflage to escape danger. Swimmon uses a special move Slash Fin to cleave foes with its fins, and Brine Pistol to suck water into its gills before shooting it out of its mouth. So we have a fish Digimon. It almost looks like a bird. I don't know what design specific fish they're going for. I don't think it's a sunfish because sunfish are... I like that it is a very colorful fish. It's a very colorful design. Very colorful. It almost reminds me of a kite, a fish kite. Very colorful. It's almost like watercolor with the scales. Whoever did the artwork of this, it's beautiful. I think it's supposed to be a parrotfish because of the beak. Because parrotfish will eat on coral. And they're actually kind of important for the ecosystem because they help kind of control the growth of coral a bit. Things I don't like. I think the teeth on the beak is a bit much. I think just the beak alone is enough. And things I would change. I think really the only thing I would change is the teeth. I would omit that just to keep the beak. So I'm going to say it right now. Swimmon gets a perfect. It's a beautiful design. It's a well thought out design, and I quite like it. It's great. I like the color. I like the watercolor feel. I like just how colorful it is. I don't like the beak, specifically the teeth on the beak, and I would change it to omit the teeth. Uh, any thoughts? Let me take a quick drink of some liquid death. By the way, for those who don't know, liquid death is just sparkling water. So if you ever see that at the grocery store, it's just sparkling water. It's actually hard to find these days. I've been drinking more Topo Chico. But, yeah. 20 seconds. And we're going to move on to the next Digimon. Kind of a slow day, I see. You know, not too much talking. Understandable. Siyako... I don't know how to pronounce this. A Digimon shaped like a clam and surrounded by a sturdy shell. Its highly developed shell protects what looks like an in-training slime. This Decepticeye uses its face to lure enemies in before attacking them. Syokamon also boasts a high defense when its shell is closed, repelling small attacks with ease. Its special move, Black Pearl Blast, fires jadeite formed in its body at the enemy, and water pressure slams a super high pressure water current at its foes. So this is a Digimon I think for a while they kind of go back and forth over whether it's a rookie or an adult. It's an interesting design, taking a clam and adding it that it's also something of a mimic. I don't think the mimic element was intentional, since I think at the time when this Digimon came into being, Dungeons and Dragons was kind of on the, not exactly in the vogue. It was known, but not really big, so to speak. Going off of the two, I think the pink is a good choice, since a lot of times when they show clams, they're oftentimes pinkish. The use of the mask on the face is a cute design, and I like that, especially since it implies, on one hand, the slime is just a lure, but on the other hand, that is the Digimon. That is an interesting little design element. The teeth on the clam, a bit excessive, but on the other hand, it does kind of fit. It's an interesting design because you're dealing with both the closed clam and the open clam, and you can argue either can work. Oh, and there's a little tiny skull on the back. I didn't realize that. I think what I like the most about this design is it can go either or. It can either be this is the main guy or this is the main guy. And I like that concept of it. Things I don't like, I think they could have done a bit of a better job with the inside of the clam, because that organic texture is a bit creepy. I think it would prefer if this was just solid. April Fools? No, Juan 44444 Gomez 44444. It's not April Fools. We're actually going through the Digimon reference manual. Look, I was busy yesterday, so I kind of wanted to do it today. So, although depending on how far we get, there may be some updates on some things. Overall, I'll say that this design, Syokomon, is a perfect, if only because I really like this concept and how you can play with it. I love the idea that you can play that either this is what it is or this little guy is the actual Digimon. It's perfect. I think I don't like the interior. I think that's a bit excessive, and I'd probably change it just to make a hard carapace. But as is, I like this design, and I will say it gets the perfect, just from how neat it is. How's my voice coming through? Is it all right? Because I'm worried that I'm not speaking loud enough. This will be an extended 20 seconds. Liquid Death. Sparkling water. One. And yeah, that was the 20 seconds. Next up we have Syokomon X antibody. So, Syokomon X antibody. Body's bivalve shell is even more developed now. Contrary to the beautiful cherry pink pattern on its shell, it will attack any enemy that approaches, and comes equipped with an underwater jet spray that's jet spray sports and able to run away immediately. It also becomes more cunning. Even if a foe dodges its special moves Black Pearl Blast, it can still surprise them with a shot from its hidden pistol called Black Derringer. Syokomon X antibody, supposedly built from junk parts scrapped together from the net ocean floor. It can fire 2 tiny, practically powerless shots of jadeite. So, things about this design. On one hand, I do like the little tiny pistol because it reminds me of an urban mech from Battletech. And it's interesting they made this more like a mech suit. But upon making the shell like this, they removed the neat idea that the shell is the design and the guy in the center isn't the brains. This just kind of looks like a little tiny mecha, a water mecha. The ports are neat, and it kind of works with how clams swim, although they're in the wrong direction. But it's a neat idea, like a water urban mech. But by making this design, you've removed the cool thing of the original. The shell just looks like your basic shell. I like the previous shell because it almost had a mimic aesthetic to it. The tattoo is a neat idea, but I don't know. The green guy interior just looks like he's vibing, and I don't know how to feel about that. The pistol is an interesting thing, but it feels bolted on rather than an actual design element. I'm going to come out and say it. The X antibody is a downgrade from the original. I think if I were to change it, I would do is take the shell from the original design, keep it as is, but add like bolted on jets and a bolted on pistol to give it the idea that it's somehow gained the X antibody from the scrap on the floor. Maybe put an X on the forehead. Keep the idea that the big clam can be the monster, or it could be the interior. It could be the monster. As is, this just implies that the little guy inside is the monster. And that kind of removes some of what I liked about the design. So things I like that it looks like an underwater urban mech. I don't like that they've drastically changed from, being a clam where the Digimon is either the green slime or the clam itself. And I would change it that keep the original design, but add on bolted on jets and the bolted on pistol and maybe bolted on X armor, just to keep that mimic concept. So 20 seconds. So we're getting pretty far in the Digimon list. Gonna have some more Liquid Death. No, before you ask, no, Liquid Death does not sponsor me. It's just, I like their sparkling water. Tapirmon. Tapirmon is a Digimon that resembles a Baku, a being in Japanese folklore that eats dreams. Believed to have been born from a medical computer that monitors brain waves, Tapirmon seems to feed on human REM sleep data. It is also found to possess the ability to erase nightmares and viruses in the latest round of research. Since it can also return these nightmares and viruses to a benign state, it is believed to be a holy Digimon. The holy ring it wears on one of its forelegs seems like it might be related to both its special abilities and its holy nature. Tapirmon's special move is Nightmare Syndrome, whereby it releases the nightmares it's absorbed all at once to terrify its adversaries. This is the same special move as the one used by Digitamamon, a perfect Digimon, but how the two might be related remains a mystery. Alright, so a little bit of lore for the RPGs. So Tapirmon is, of course, based off of the Japanese yokai, which I'm glad they added that in the description. Things about the design. This isn't really a design I'm a big fan of. I don't know why. I think it's just... It seems a little too abstract. I know it's supposed to look like a tapir, especially with the front. And I think the clouds are supposed to symbolize that it has legs. Although most depictions seem to just go with the genie legs for the most part. Yeah, this thing's each streams are data. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Although that... I think in some of the early series that doesn't become a big thing. Except Frontier, I think, where they actually eat dreams. Also, this was one of the partner Digimon. I won't say who because spoilers. I think what I dislike about this, what I like about also like, is they took the yokai inspiration and worked with it. It's not just, oh, here's a weird fox thing. It's a very liberal, it's a very conservative approach to that yokai design. What I don't like is how, I say that it's rather abstract. Things like the legs, the helmet. To me, this isn't a design I would really go towards. I would probably go with something else. I'm also not a fan of the fur. This going from the red-brown to the purple is a weird choice, and I'm not a big fan of it. Purple or blue. I'm dealing with different computer screens. And the helmet crest is weird. What I would change with this design, I'm okay with the holy ring and keeping that connection, but I think what I would probably do is omit this armor and the tusk. Because I think that's what I would do, just to make it look more like a small mammal thing. Maybe take some inspiration from sheep, but I say that and that would ruin the yokai connection. This is a difficult Digimon. I think it's too abstract. It's a bit not... I think they need to do... It's a little too abstract in what they're trying to accomplish. It doesn't read that well, in my opinion. So I think what I would change is... So what I like about the design, I like that it's a fairly conservative approach to the yokai. What I don't like is just how abstract they're going with things. It's very hard to read, and I don't like the design. And what I would change is probably redo it. This is one of those designs that I would say remake it. This is just too much conflicting with one another. 20 seconds. And remember, what I'm giving are just opinions. They're not rules. They're not fact. So if you dislike what I'm saying, I fully understand you coming out and saying, "Oh, that's a terrible design. That's a terrible suggestion." And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with seeing where you guys go with this. Tentomon. A prototype insectoid Digimon, Tentomon has a hard carapace but a low level aggression. Tentomon has one claw on each of its forelegs and four claws on its middle and hind legs. Its middle legs, in particular, are highly dexterous, similar to human hands. Though other insectoid Digimon of Tentomon's Digivolution level are consumed by a strong fighting spirit, Tentomon remains a love and appreciation for nature at this stage. Exhibiting a fondness for relaxation, Tentomon will stop to smell flowers and nap in the shade of trees. Even so, it does have the special move Super Shocker, which involves using its wings to shoot out amplified bolts of static electricity. So, Tentomon is an early level Digimon, one of the early Digimon that came out. It was Izzy's partner. I'll say right now, things I like is it looks like a beetle. It looks like a Kamen Rider, kind of a Kamen Rider-esque beetle. Like, I could see this becoming a Kamen Rider character. But as is, it's just a beetle. It's a complex design, but they make it work, especially with the carapace. It almost looks cybernetic. It's a good design. Things I don't like, this was indicative of a lot of early designs of Digimon. They would add these little flourishes like this, and I'm not a fan of that antenna style. And I think for this design, I would probably omit that. But overall, it's a very good design. One thing to note, they don't have much of the muscular element. They do, I mean, the chest does have a sort of pseudo-muscular, but you can kind of argue that that's an exoskeleton. But all in all, I like this design. I wasn't aware it was a prototype. That's something that I didn't know of. So, yeah, I will give this the perfect. I like the concept. I like the idea. I don't like the antenna, and I would remove those antenna if that was how I changed the design. Probably maybe put a more traditional antenna or maybe even a crest of some kind. But yeah, I like this design. It's Tentomon. 20 seconds. So yeah, moving on to the next design. We've got Terriermon, our little tiny gremlin. An enigmatic Digimon with a massive horn growing from its head. While Tentomon is cool. Tentomon is very cool. While Terriermon's composition is enough to deem it a beast Digimon, the form it takes after Digivolving is still unknown. That's a lie. Rumor has it that it is sometimes born with a twin. Terriermon's extreme cuteness and calm behavior do not give the impression that this Digimon is of the combat species. Still, the power it exhibits in battle belies its appearance. It uses its signature move Terrier Tornado to spin both its ears like a propeller, creating a small tornado. With the special move Blazing Fire, it spits a shot of superheated air. It is also said to have a powerful team attack called Double Typhoon when it unleashes together with its twin Lopmon. And of course we got Lopmon. So you've got Terriermon. Terriermon is another early Digimon, I think more of a season 2. Although Terriermon is associated with Tamers, I believe Terriermon's first appearance was in the Digimon movie. The Hurricane Touchdown film. We're not going through the whole line. He's been usually called a gremlin, especially if you go in from Digi-Destiny, where he's a loot gremlin. Well, a stealing gremlin. And as the name beguiles, it's a terrier. Is Terriermon a dog or a rabbit? So, there's a dog called a rat terrier. And that's the description they're going with Terriermon. He's supposed to be based off of a dog. Lopmon, Lop, for those who don't know, is French for rabbit. And Lopmon is based off of the rabbit. It's a bit confusing, especially since Terriermon has the big ears, and from what I understand, rat terriers or terriers in general don't have big ears to begin with. But yeah, Terriermon is supposed to be based off of a dog. Um, Things I like about the design, I like that he looks like a little tiny gremlin. He looks like fun personified. I can see how he becomes Gargomon. Uh, Things I don't like. I think the ears are a bit of a confusion element because he's supposed to be based off of a terrier, but it can be very easy to confuse him with a rabbit. And I think that's a design mistake. I understand he has a twin that's based off of a rabbit, but this is a bit too confusing. Um, I don't know how I would change it because I like the general aesthetic of Terriermon. It's just, I think you need to do something more to make this look like a dog rather than a rabbit. Something to make it a bit different from Lopmon. Lopmon. I think that's what I'll go with. I like that he looks like fun personified and like a little tiny gremlin. I don't like that they there's still a confusion over whether Terriermon is a dog or a rabbit. And if I were to change this, I would do something to change Terriermon to be more dog-like, but still keeping the general aesthetic to make that connection with Lopmon. As is, Terriermon is a decent design. I will give Terriermon the perfect. Just because, like, even when I say when it changed, I don't want to remove this design. I think they did an amazing job. It's confusing to read whether it's a rabbit or a dog. And I think most people assume Terriermon is a rabbit and not a dog, not realizing terrier is a name shared with a rat terrier. So, yeah, 20 seconds. And now we're going into the next design. Terriermon X antibody. As it reads, the excellent sensory organs on Terriermon X antibody's ears enable it to read the wind currents and fly. Furthermore, its gem emerald ear jewelry is linked with its twin Lopmon X antibody and lets it know the other's position and conditioning. Deepening their connection lets them unleash Phyros Typhoon, a team attack mixing hot and cold air. So yeah, we got a Terriermon that's become more fluffy and got some bling that it no doubt boosted out from Walmart. That's a joke. I don't know. You're going towards a more Magic Girl aesthetic, which is what I think was the point of it. I think the magic gem is a bit excessive. I get that they want to make that connection with Lopmon, but I don't know if the gem was the direction to go with it. They did fix the whole ear thing because with these tufts of hair up here, Terriermon does look more like a little tiny dog. And I'm okay with this design. I think in that level it's a slight improvement. I don't like the tail in the back. I think that's a bit excessive, especially compared to the previous design. I think that should be omitted. As is, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an improvement over Terriermon. I like things like the hair, like the fur up here, which helped make it look more like a dog. But on the other hand, you're still having that Lopmon issue. It still reads like a rabbit. And I don't like, much like Lopmon X Antibody, I don't like this earring. I think that should be omitted. So things I like that they made Terriermon look more like a dog. Things I don't like the earring, and I don't like the tail. And if I were to change it, I would remove the tail and I would remove the earring. I get that you want that connection with Lopmon, but I don't think you need, the earring. And it still looks furry enough to be a pseudo magic girl element. So, yeah. 20 seconds. Next up, we have Terriermon Assistant. A studious Terriermon who helps Agumon Expert. Terriermon Assistant loves nothing more than learning about the different types of Digimon and their ecologies, then passing on that knowledge to others. In addition to its signature move Terrier Tornado, it has Danbuchi Gu, where it enlarges the pin on its chest as sends it flying. So basically, he attacks you with a pen. That's a pin. That's interesting. It's a recolor. We basically have a Terriermon with a lab coat and a tie and a pin. For those who don't know, Terriermon Assistant is the official VTuber of Digimon to an extent, and honestly, compared to Agumon Expert, I think I prefer Terriermon Expert. I haven't seen any of the VTuber shows, but they seem to be relatively comical to an extent. That being said, we do have a recolor here. I like that they kept the cute design. I like that they added the jacket and everything. I don't think this is worthy of adding to the Digimon sourcebook. Because it's a Terriermon wearing a lab coat and a tie. And I don't get why this is considered its own Digimon. It's a neat concept, especially for an NPC in, say, a role-playing game or or an important character. But I don't think this warrants its own element in the encyclopedia. So I'm going to have to say it's an okay design. It's Terriermon, but much like, say, Agumon Expert, why are we giving Terriermon in a lab coat and a tie its own element? That seems a bit much. I like that it's Terriermon. I like that they gave it the tie and everything. I don't understand why this is its own level. Why it's considered its own Digimon. But throwing no shade at Digimon, I do think that they did a good job of selecting Terriermon Assistant as the VTuber instead of Agumon Assistant. That was a good choice on them. It's just, I don't know if this warrants its own spot in the encyclopedia. So, 20 seconds. And we've head off to the next Digimon. Tinkermon. Oh, that is a lot of words. Hold on. Liquid death to save my throat. A pixie Digimon always found close by Petermon's side. Tinkermon does everything in its power to help Petermon create Never Ever Land, a world for children. It bounces around happily in Petermon's presence, but may fly off somewhere in a huff if disregarded. If Petermon chases after it, Tinkermon will happily fawn all over Petermon once more. Its wings shine at different levels of brightness, and depending on how stressed it is. So keep an eye on that sheen if you want to discern its feelings. Tinkermon applies a paralytic nail polish to both its nails and its sharply pointed poison lance, which it uses to give those who look down on its small stature something to regret it. It uses its special move, Speed Nightmare, to draw foes into a nightmare with the fast aching hallucinogen in its poison lance. What the? Nightmare Pandemic can either partially or fully paralyze the enemy, depending on how many fingers Tinkermon uses. With Fairy Powder, Tinkermon scatters a substance from its wings that turns the opponent into a Beatty, halving its abilities. Enemies turned into Beatties will accept Petermon's invitation, which leads them to World of Children, Never Ever Land. This link between Petermon and Tinkermon is called Petermon Syndrome. What the? Okay, so apparently Tinkermon is a gangster. Apparently, if you just cause her problems, she's just going to poison you. She's a gangster. What on earth? What the what? One of the things I'll say with Tinkermon, so normally I'm against Digimon being very humanoid, but given that this is a Tinkerbell Digimon we're talking about, I give the exception to this. My problem with this is the size of Tinkermon, because I think it's been recorded that Tinkermon is about the size of an adult and not a little tiny pixie. I think that's the problem with the design. This can work if, say, Tinkermon is a very small Digimon, especially compared to Petermon, because Tinkerbell. But as is, crazy girl with drugs. I think that's the best way to describe this Digimon. As for the design itself, she looks like a hardcore pixie. Like, you got Winx Club, and then you've got Tinkermon, and Tinkermon ain't playing. Which actually kind of fits like that dark fairy tale aesthetic that Digimon sometimes goes with. That being said, maybe a bit too humanoid. I think they should have done something to make her look more like a tiny pixie. I will say I appreciate that she doesn't look like a retread of Tinkerbell, which is good. This is a complex design. I'm not giving her the perfect. And I think my problem with this design is it relies too much on her connection to her backstory, because I didn't know about the poison, I wasn't aware about the fairy dust, and I don't know. It's a neat concept, but maybe a bit too much, I'm wondering. Also, I'm noticing the little heart thing. That is a bit weird. That's a weird thing to add to the design. So I'll say what I like about it. I like the concept and just how like American McGee-esque they're going with this. I think I don't like how she's connected way too much to her backstory to fully get the character. And if I were to change it, I would probably make her look more like a smaller fairy. Because as is, this is like a grown woman charging after you with a spear. Grown young adult. You get what I'm saying. But yeah. 20 seconds. And from what I understand these days, Tinkermon is generally agreed to be Kazemon's rookie form, which is an interesting little thing to do with the design. I think they mostly needed it because they needed a pixie, but it could be worse. I mean, I can certainly see Tinkermon becoming Kazemon. Toy Agumon. An unusual Digimon composed of blocks made from special plastic. Toy Agumon is said to be an imitation of Agumon made by children playing on the internet. It is extremely cute. Unlike the bold and fearless Agumon, Toy Agumon has a skittish side, and its blocks falls apart when it's startled. Despite this, it has a strong sense of justice that won't allow any sort of wrongdoing. It also adores children and loves to spend time interacting with them online. Its special move is Plastic Blaze, by which it shoots out a toy missile shaped like a flame. It is surprisingly powerful. So we basically have a Lego Agumon, or toy distinct Agumon. I think we've seen an earlier design of Agumon, which is Clear Agumon Puppet. I like that it looks like. I like that they took a Digimon and said, "Can we make this out of Duplo?" I think that was a good approach at a Digimon. That being said, well, it is different than an Agumon. I appreciate that they didn't just give it the same color as Agumon. And as a kid, I would have made creations out of random blocks instead of caring about the color. As is, it's a colorful and creative design, and it's imaginative. I think if I were to change this design, I would probably add, this is me from Legos, I would probably add something in the mouth that kind of looked like a position point to put the flame part. I think they're called elbow parts, but I don't know the specific name of those Lego pieces. I will give this the perfect because, I mean, it's a Lego Agumon. I will say I'm a bit disappointed they don't sell toys of Toy Agumon that you can put together. I think that would be awesome to sell as like gifts or as like collectibles. Although knowing Bandai, it would probably be a Bandai premium and be very expensive. Because of course it will. But yeah, I like the design. It's a cute design. It's a very childish design. The only thing I would change is the fire element. And like, I don't even have anything to complain about it. I guess I'd say I would prefer if the eyes were either a Lego piece instead of just a sticker, because stickers on Lego parts aren't really the best. But otherwise, it's a good design. I like it. 20 seconds. So yeah, Lego or Mega Bloks, contact Bandai and see about making this an actual toy. Or if there's a company out there that is making, unofficial Lego parts, talk to Bandai. This would be an amazing toy to sell. As is, I think only Micro Bloks makes Digimon stuff, and let's be real here, Micro Bloks are not the best. I haven't messed with them, but after seeing Cat Icarus talk about them, they seem like they are a pain. That was kind of my problem with Mega Bloks. Mega Bloks do not click in well. It's something about the plastic. Toy Agumon Black. A toy Agumon tainted by darkness. Toy Agumon Black was infected by a computer virus on the network and turned into a toy that bullies children. Its special move is Plastic Blaze, by which it shoots out a tiny missile shaped like flame. Basically, you took a toy Agumon, made it clear, and then made it dark. I mean, it looks like an official toy. I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't make the blocks different dark colors, instead just went black. And I think that's what I'm going to ding it on. I think I would have preferred it being different dark colors and maybe some purples. You've got Toy Agumon here that's all colorful, and then you got Black Agumon who's evil. Maybe add in some of those dark colors like purple and maybe some white. Make this thing look vicious, and maybe make the eyes look evil. It's a recolor, but given that we have a Black Agumon, I'm okay with a Toy Agumon Black. I think what I would change different colored blocks and make the eyes evil. As is, I'm fairly certain that the way how this is drawn, this is supposed to look like clear blocks, and I don't like that. I think they would have worked better if this was like, say, dark, like black or gray with purple or something. But as is, this just looks like a clear Digimon, like it's all clear and smoky tint. I would also add in a little element to the mouth to say that, hey, this is where it's firing. It's an okay design, but it's a step down from Toy Agumon. Just from, it loses so much of its creativity. So, 20 seconds. And we're actually getting pretty far in the Digimon manual. We're pretty much at the home. We're pretty much near the home stretch. More liquid death. Sukeimon. Sukeimon looked like Patamon, but its personality could hardly be more different. A contrarian by nature, it acts as a familiar to Devimon and others. Sukeimon is quick to anger and will try to settle things with a fight immediately. With its special move, Bad Message, it whispers slander full of negative energy to bring its enemy to tears. So it's a Redditor. It's a Redditor. That's good to know. It's a recolor of Patamon. I like the idea of making it purple, but if you're gonna make it evil, add some skull and bones on its head, or maybe add some decay on the wings to really give the idea that this is evil. As is, it's just a Patamon that you changed purple, and I don't think that's enough to really say it's a different Digimon. I know recolors help give the idea of Digimon with different attributes, but if you're gonna make this evil, really play into that evil aesthetic. Maybe add a little tiny tooth, fang on the mouth, or eyes are a little evil, or I don't know, maybe add even an eye patch to show evil. As is, I like that it's cute, and I like the purple that gives the idea that it's evil, but I don't like that they didn't go enough in the evil. And I would change it by adding in a skull and bones, maybe some decay on the wings, maybe even an eye patch or two, just to really show the evil. Maybe not all of that, maybe just the tooth and the ragged wings. That would be enough to make that this is evil. Thoughts, opinions? Guess 20 seconds. And we're going to move on. So we're going to Ukomon, an ancient phantom Digimon whose activity records remain in the ancient digital world. Rumors suppose that Ukomon can grant the wishes of others, which is why it is said that many other Digimon gathered around it, flourishing and forming villages. However, as records of Ukomon were cut off from the catastrophic destruction of the ancient digital world, this Digimon is thought to have been wiped out. For its special move, Whirlpearl Spin, Ukomon spins its body like a top, then crashes into foes. Layer Dream is a technique in which it hijacks an enemy's consciousness after locking eyes with them. So Ukomon first appeared in the sequel movie that came out. I think it was like Digimon, like, it was the Digimon 02 film. I forgot its name. I didn't see it. I tried to see it in theaters, but the but the closest places to watch it were like 4 hours away. And yeah, I'm not driving that far to see a film, especially since it was on a day I was working. My understanding is Ukamon is based off of an angel jellyfish, which they don't really play with here. It certainly looks like a cute but please be careful Digimon, just from the aesthetic. Like, there's something about it that says this is a dangerous Digimon, but it's still cute. I think it's the purple orb in its abdomen. I like the simplicity they went with this Digimon to show that it's an ancient Pixie-mon. It's not ancient Pixie-mon, ancient Pixie is going by type. It does kind of look wide-eyed and happy, which is interesting, but I don't know. I think you should have added some element of maybe mischievousness or maybe worry because of its evil, or something along those lines. I think I would have added more of an aquatic element to this Digimon. Maybe making it semi-clear. Making it somewhat clear to really show that this orb is the center of its body. Things I don't like. I think the ahoge and the ears are a bit much, but at the same time they do fit with Digimon aesthetics. So I'll say what I like about it is it's a relatively simplistic design. What I would have changed of it, probably make it clear to really go with the jellyfish. And I don't like I don't either keep the fins or keep the hair tufts, but not both. I'll say that. And I didn't see the movie, but one day I would like to, and I'll probably get it on Blu-ray. I don't know if I'll review it, but we'll see. First End War, and then the Discotheque Blu-ray release of the original stuff. We'll get to over review purposes later, because Liquid Death. 20 seconds. So yeah, we're actually getting pretty far with this. We may actually be able to finish all the rookies today. We've got Vmon. Vmon is a new type of Digimon, only recently discovered. Really? It is a surviving member of a species that once thrived in the dawn of the digital world. This allows it to use Digi-Egg to form a type of pseudo-Digivolution known as Armor Digivolution, which was quickly dropped. Of all its peers, Vmon is among the best combat species. It possesses a hidden power and uses Armor Digivolution to bring out its explosive abilities. Though a troublemaker and a prankster by nature, Vmon also has a strong sense of justice. Vmon uses a signature move, Boom Boom Punch, to spin both its arms and strikes its opponent. It uses a special move, Vmon Headbutt, to knock out foes with a powerful headbutt. And as we all know, Vmon was Davis's rookie back in 2002. One of the older Digimon designs. As you can tell by the design, this is when they were going to different evolutions, but as we can tell, Armor Digivolution hasn't really been a thing since 2002. It's going off of a lot of old concepts that are kind of defunct at this point. As for ancient design, I'm kind of wondering if it's a reference to Vidramon, because in the V-Tamer comic manga, Tai has a Vidramon. I think it has a name, but I don't remember. It's Vidramon, but he has a specific name, that's what I mean. As for Vmon's design, it's certainly very iconic. I will say it's interesting that Vmon is blue, because traditionally in Digimon, the main character's Digimon is either red or some variant of red. So it's interesting to have a blue design. because blue is usually associated with matte. Um, they made it look like a dragon person, which is an interesting concept, almost like a kobold. You've got a tail, you've got limbs, fists. This is actually a very interesting design because on one hand it looks draconic, but it's not draconic. And you'd think it would do fire, but it's mostly fist fighting. I think I like that about the design. Because it's a dragon, but they're going more towards like a kobold, if anything. Not Japanese kobold, but more of, kobold seen in the US. Things I don't like, I think the crest and the yellow elements are a bit I think they pull away from the design. But then again, looking at its later evolution, I can see why they kept it. I actually don't know what I would change with the design. I'm going to give Vmon the perfect. I don't see many faults with the design. Actually, I don't see many faults. It's a very simplistic design, but it works. I guess maybe things I would change is perhaps add, not like, if you know Sonic the Hedgehog, there's Knuckles the Echidna, and on his fists he has little spikes on his gloves. And I think if I were to change this design, I would probably add some little spikes to the fist to really accentuate he punches things. As is, I like this design. I'm going to give it the perfect. I like how simplistic and how it's a different draconic design. I don't like the little yellow, but I understand where it's coming from. And if I were to change it, I would just add spikes. It's a great design, and I like it. 20 seconds. So yeah, it's getting close to the finish line. What the? Okay, I was a bit confused because I'm looking at Lugamon's thing underneath, and that's X antibody. So that's something that's not being translated. Vemmon. An artificial Digimon that someone created through the process of experimentation. Programmed to only eat and get stronger, it uses fusion eyes after feeding an enemy to consume it. Its special move is Messer Claw, wherein it slashes enemies with its razor claws. I think Vemmon first appeared in Digimon World 3. And it was one of the main antagonists of that game. You have a very It's interesting because it does look like something out of Alien, especially with the head. It looks like a small xenomorph. And I think that is a neat little concept of a design. I think the mouth, traditionally this is what they do with insects to give it a sort of like pinchers, but not so much a mouth. I think I would prefer it if this was, say, a metallic muzzle, just something to hold down that it has to fight through to eat, especially since you have this collar. The number on it, I would probably maybe add some stress marks to indicate that it's been branded, rather than that's part of the design. The forehead thing, just going off of Dorumon, I would almost say you can make a connection between it and Dorumon just from the head crest. Like, this is either a failed copy or a failed prototype of Dorumon. For those who don't know, it does have one eye. This is not shown well in the design, but it's there. And back in the TCG, Vemmon had no limit, so you could take as many Vemmon if you wanted, if I remember correctly. But I don't think Vemmon is that powerful anymore. one of the problems with TCGs. Um, Things I like about the design, I like the xenomorph approach of this Digimon, and I can see it working as sort of like a pseudo connection of Dorumon. I don't like the mouth thing. I think I would prefer it if this was more like a muzzle rather than a like an insectoid mouth. And I think I would change it that this was again a muzzle and maybe add some stress marks around the numbering. Other than that, I will say this gets the perfect design. It's a very good design and I like it. So, yeah, 20 seconds. And we're coming down to the wire to the last 4 Digimon. We've come a long way. Vorvomon. A Digimon composed of hard, hot ore. Vorvomon's 2 wings able to fly for a few moments, but it will tire almost immediately. It is quite passionate, and the heat of its horns and claws rise along with its level of excitement. It uses its special move, Petite Flame, to spit a small yet extremely hot flame from its mouth. So we have a fire dragon, rock dragon, a magma. It's a fairly basic design. It looks like something out of Monster Hunter or out of Dragon Quest. It's a cute little design. I can see merchandise of it. Things I like that they took a basic dragon and added a bunch of rock structures to it. I think that was a good call to make. I like that they added little touches of magma on some of the horns and elements. Things I don't like, I think it needs a little more color in between the rocks, because as is, it's just a dark dragon. It's okay design, but not. It does get. I will give it the perfect. But I do think it needs more color. So things I like it's easy to read. It's a small dragon. I like the coloring. I would probably change by adding more color, and I would, if what I don't like is just how it's just black rock. I think I would add more color to the design. So yeah, 20 seconds. Wormmon. A larva Digimon with a timid, cowardly personality. Wormmon is descendant of the same ancient species as Vmon, so it can perform a special armor digivolution. Okay, I didn't know that. Exceedingly weak on its own, Wormmon stands a little chance against larger Digimon, but with the power of the Digi-Eggs, it can armor digivolve and display incredible power. Like an larva maturing into an adult, Wormmon will one day digivolve into a champion of great power. This Digimon is the very embodiment of future potential. It uses its special move, Sticky Net, to shoot vicious webs that blind the enemy, or Silk Thread to shoot a thin thread as sharp and pointy as a needle tip. So we've got Wormmon, who's cute as a button, which is very weird to say about an insect. Well, worm. Again, one of the early designs, although 02. Things I like. It's a very easy to read design. I like the use of color between the pink, the green, and the purple. The antenna, normally I dislike what they do with the design, but this is a very straightforward design, and I like it. It's cute as a button, and I like it. It's a very cute Digimon, and it does get the perfect. What I don't like about the Digimon, I think this symbol on its forehead is a bit excessive and unnecessary. And If I were to change it, uh, actually, I don't think there's much I can change other than the omission of that forehead thing. Although, thinking on it, I'd probably add something to connect it to Vmon. Because there's really no connection between Wormmon and Vmon. And that's kind of what they're going with this, that it's connected. And they're really not. So I would say add some character design to connect the two. But other than that, it's a perfect design. Like, probably one of the highest levels, I'll say. I like how cute and simple it is to read. I don't like the symbol on the forehead, and if I were to change it, I would add something to connect it to Vmon. So yeah, 20 seconds. Zenimon from Cross Wars. Oh, Zenimon is a mech-like Digimon resembling a 5 yen coin that lives inside Genimon's suitcase. This Digimon quickly carries out Genimon's money-collecting missions, aided in part by its ability to produce a special pulse that attracts money. Oh, that's neat. Which it also uses to great effect. However, this apparently also makes it a target of Digimon who would make use of this pulse. Zenimon's special move include Comet Launcher, where it fires rice bullets from its arms, and Zeni Age, where it throws other Zenimon to crash into foes. Note, Zenimon was a winning submission in the original Digimon contest for Digimon Fusion. That's neat. Very neat and simple design. You took a coin and made it a Digimon, adding in legs. I like that the little tiny coins in the center look like sunglasses. Little feet. It's a very whimsical design. Things I don't like. I think I would have preferred if the hands were actually hands. And if I were to change it, I would probably make the hand a bit bigger. I would also disconnect it from Genemon to make it its own Digimon, because as is, it feels like it's just a sidekick. But yeah, it's a fun little design. I like the sunglass eyes, and I just like how whimsical it is. But I think if I were to change it, give it some actual hands and probably a bigger mouth. Good on them good on the guy that won the contest. So 20 seconds. So now we're going on to the final of the rookies, the last rookie of the group. Zubamon. Zubamon is one of the legend arms that can transform its body into a weapon. The fabled legend arms are said to be capable of either saving the world in the hands of an angel or destroying it in the hands of a devil. Zubamon possesses the data of the twin test, and it often shouts, "I am the twin test," without knowing what it means. I don't even know what it means. It dislikes anything warped or twisted, and is in constant pursuit of ideals of sharpness. In battle and in jest, it always tries to look sharp, and days when it succeeds to put on a good mood. Though it has the 20 dive attacks that involves rushing headlong into enemy, Zubamon's true strength lies in its weapon form. So, we have a dragon thing with 20. Very armored. Almost shark-like, and I like that. You've added in a neat cloak. It looks... It looks like a robot, like a armored robot of a kind. Things... I like the concept of an armored warrior, shark armor. What I don't like... Well, for one, I would probably omit the tail. But one thing I don't understand is what 20th means. I think that means 20th anniversary, because just about every year Digimon does an anniversary Digimon, and I think Zubamon was for that year. I don't know, but I could be wrong. He does become a sword, which is well known. It's an interesting concept, but I think they should have done a better job explaining what Twentieth means. It's very armored, almost more of a champion level, I would say. And I think I'll say that's the problem with the design. It feels more like a champion rather than a rookie. I like the armor and the gold and the sword head, but I think ultimately its connection with 20th doesn't work. It doesn't get the perfect because it's just kind of all over the place. It's a little too complicated for a rookie. As a champion, I think it works, but a rookie, not so much. So things I like the shark armored being design. I think the concept of it becoming a sword is a good idea. If I were to omit an element, I would probably omit the tail. And just an FYI, do a better job of explaining what does it mean, the 20th. So, yeah. 20 seconds. So yeah, we've gone down through all of the rookies, landing on Zubamon. So, and my throat's actually getting very hoarse. Liquid Death time. I think I'll probably get a smoothie after this. So, quick little updates on how things are going. Review of End War is going through, which leads to my next comment. I kind of need to get time to finish End War because there's a lot of things happening. So until End War comes out, we're kind of putting this on the back burner for the brief moment. Don't worry, once End War, the review of End War is published, I will continue, this time with the champions. We have come a long way, and I think a lot of people are coming in especially for this content. I do think at some point I need to make everything look a little better, more presentable. But that will require time, and that requires time and testing, which unfortunately I don't have much of either. But yeah, we're going to be putting this series on the back burner until the End War review comes out, because I kind of need that time to make it come out in April. Speaking of April, if you happen to be in Tyler, Texas on the 26th, 27th, and the 28th, I believe, there is an anime convention. I will be heading there as a visit to kind of see there. I'm not a guest. I'm hoping I can get a press pass, but there's no guarantees. If you happen to be there, go look around. Could be an interesting thing. I have no guarantees. They're not sponsoring me. It's just something I'm heading towards. Like I said, I'm not a guest. I will try to get a vlog up of it if I can. I will ask them about that if I don't get a press pass. If I get a press pass, it should be fine. If not, we don't know. As for this series, once the End War review comes out, and this series will probably continue in May. So I guess that's the April Fool's joke of today. This series is going to put on the back burner till May, so I can get time to finish End War and for the anime Tyler, Texas going. But yeah, we've come quite a long way. This time looking at this time we'll be looking at the champions. So I'm going to consider it something of like a small break as I work on End War. After End War, obviously, I will be working on the discotheque release of the Digimon movies. Afterwards, who knows? It might be Battletech, it might be the Transformers movie. But we have ways to go. But yeah, remember to like and subscribe. And remember, I am on Blue Sky. Let me get that up real quick. If Blue Sky will allow me. Yes, it will. Oh, apparently the Ghost Game dub, English dub of Ghost Game is ready. And I forgot that it's the 24th anniversary of Digimon Tamers. The march of time stops for no one, unfortunately. Why is it not letting me post? We're putting it into the chat. So yeah, there's my link to Blue Sky. So yeah, follow me on Blue Sky. Outside of that, yeah, like I said, I will be in Tyler, Texas for the anime convention, not just to see how things are. Remember to like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll go further. And yeah, see you all when I see ya. Hopefully we'll get through the champions. Best of luck, y'all.